another beautiful morning on the Mother Road, Bill and I rolled into Williams, Arizona, one of my favorite Route 66 towns. Hey, I'm the Tombstone rider. And the moment you arrive in Williams, you can tell this place is different. The sidewalks are busy, classic cars cruise up and down Route 66, motorcycles line the streets. Old neon signs still glow over diners, hotels, and gift shops. And instead of feeling like the town's trying to recreate itself, Williams feels like a town that's been living it all along. If you've ever wondered what Route 66 looked and felt like during its golden years, this is probably about as close as you're gonna get. Long before Route 66 ever crossed northern Arizona though, Williams was already an important stop because of another transportation revolution, the railroad. In 1882, the Atchison, the Topeka, and the Santa Fe Railway came through this area, connecting northern Arizona with the rest of the country. And like so many western towns, Williams grew up around the railroad. It became the center for ranching, logging, and supplying nearby communities. Then came another incredible attraction, the Grand Canyon. When the Grand Canyon Railway began carrying passengers from Williams to the South Rim in 1901, the town found a whole new purpose. People from around the world arrived by train, spent the night in Williams, and boarded another train for one of the greatest natural wonders on Earth. And more than 120 years later, that same railway is still operating today. Watching that vintage train pull into the depot is like stepping into another era. It's one of the few places where railroad history and Route 66 history come together so naturally. Route 66 arrived in 1926, and everything changed again. Route 66 officially became America's main street, and Williams found itself sitting right on one of the most important highways in the country. Suddenly, the travelers arrived by train were joined by families in Chevrolets, Fords, Buicks, and Packards. Service stations opened, motor courtyards popped up, restaurants welcomed hungry travelers. Williams became one of those classic overnight stops where people rested before continuing west to California or east to Chicago. And you can almost picture it. Kids stretching their legs after a long day in the car, parents unfolding a paper map, gas station attendants checking oil and washing windshields. Yeah, they used to do that. Back then, road trips weren't about getting somewhere as quickly as possible. The journey itself was part of the adventure. Williams also holds a unique place in Route 66 history. It was the last community on the entire highway to be bypassed by Interstate 40, and that didn't happen until October 1984. Nearly 6 decades after Route 66 was created, traffic was still rolling right through downtown Williams. For years, local business owners fought to keep the original highway alive because they had seen what happened to other Route 66 towns. When the interstate bypassed communities like Ash Fork, Seligman, and dozens of others, many businesses simply couldn't survive. Williams knew what was coming. When Interstate 40 finally opened around town, it certainly changed things. But instead of turning its back on Route 66, that decision made all the difference. Today, people don't visit Williams despite its Route 66 history. They come because of it. One stop I always look forward to when we get into Williams is Pete's Route 66 Museum. Places like this remind us that history doesn't have to be locked behind glass in a giant museum. Sometimes it's preserved by people who simply love the road enough to save its stories. Inside are vintage gas pumps, old road signs, photographs, license plates, maps, and classic advertising. There's also countless pieces of Americana that many of us remember from growing up. And when you walk through the museum, you think about all the families who traveled the highway over the last 100 years. Imagine loading up the station wagon every summer. No GPS, no cell phones, just a paper map, a full tank of gas, and the excitement of seeing America one town at a time. That's the feeling Pete's Museum gives you so well. It's not just about Route 66 though. It's about remembering an America where the journey mattered just as much as the destination. One thing I really appreciate about Williams is that it hasn't forgotten where it came from. The railroad still brings visitors to town. The Grand Canyon Railway still whistles as it leaves the depot. Route 66 still runs right through the heart of downtown. Historic buildings have found new life as restaurants, shops, and hotels. People stroll the sidewalks with ice cream in hand while motorcycles rumble past. It's not difficult to understand why Williams has become one of the most popular stops anywhere on the Mother Road. During this 100th anniversary of Route 66, being here feels a little different. It's not just visiting another small town in Arizona. you're walking through a place that has welcomed travelers for nearly 150 years, first by rail, then by automobile, and today by visitors from around the world who still believe the best roads are the ones with stories to tell. After spending the night in Williams, it was time to ride to Winslow. The miles between Williams and Winslow pass through some beautiful northern Arizona country. Wide open skies, long stretches of highway, the kind of riding that reminds you why touring motorcycles were built in the first place. Long before we reached town though, one song was already playing in my head, and if you've ever been there, I'm willing to bet it was playing in yours too. In 1972, the Eagles released a song called Take It Easy. One line changed this town forever. Well, I'm standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona. That's all it took. One lyric. Today, millions of people know the name Winslow because of that song. People travel from around the world just to stand on that famous corner, and honestly, it's hard to resist doing exactly that. The town embraced its unexpected fame in the best possible way. Today you'll find standing on the corner park, complete with bronze statues, a mural, and yes, a red flatbed Ford. And if you know the song, you'll immediately understand the reference. Watching visitors line up for pictures is actually pretty entertaining. Everybody smiles, and for a few minutes, complete strangers become connected by a song they all know. But Winslow's story began long before the Eagles. Founded in the railroad era, Winslow became an important stop for the Santa Fe Railway. When Route 66 arrived in 1926, the town became another major destination along America's Main Street. Hotels, restaurants, gas stations, trading posts all welcomed travelers crossing northern Arizona. And like so many communities along Route 66, Winslow experienced both boom times and difficult years after Interstate 40 bypassed downtown. But instead of forgetting its past, Winslow found a way to celebrate it, just like other famous towns. Today, visitors come for the music and they stay for the history. And I think that's what surprised me the most. Winslow is so much more than one famous lyric. The restored downtown, the historic buildings, railroad history, Route 66 murals, local restaurants. You know, there's enough to spend several hours just simply walking around. And it's another reminder that some of America's best places aren't the biggest. They're the places with good stories. As Bill and I stood in the famous corner, I couldn't help thinking about what Route 66 represents. 100 years ago, the highway connected communities from Chicago to Los Angeles. It gave people opportunities they never had before. It helped families explore America. It inspired music, movies, television, and road trips. All lifelong memories. Now, a century later, two Harley riders still following the same road, discovering the same towns, and adding our own chapter to its history. That's pretty incredible. Every town we visited has its own personality. Oatman gave us mountain curves and wandering burrows. Seligman reminded us how one community saved Route 66. Williams showed us what preservation looks like. Winslow proved that sometimes a single song can keep a town in people's hearts for generations. That's what makes this Centennial Ride so rewarding. Every stop has its own story, every mile has its own history, and every town reminds us why Route 66 became much more than just a highway. Bill and I still have plenty of miles ahead, and as we continue our celebration of 100 years of Route 66 and the 250 years of America, I hope you'll stay with us for the next chapter. If you've enjoyed this ride, I'd appreciate if you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who loves motorcycles, road trips, or the history of the motherland. And until next time, my friends, keep the rubber side down, take the old road whenever you can, and I'll see you on the next ride.